Hello and welcome to WTV. I'm Alan April.
And I'm Dave Irish. It's 2015. We've had a break, but now it's time to get back to work.
And for us, that means reporting on the same city, but with brand new stories. We learned a lot from our fall season of WTV, and our team has worked hard to up our game.
We've got a wide range of really interesting stories for you this week, so let's get started. First up, Amanda Gallagher is at the news desk. Amanda?
Thanks, Dave. Dartmouth residents had a chance to speak up this week about the future of a river buried downtown. Hundreds of people joined officials on Tuesday to talk about daylighting the Sawmill River. The river has been underground since the 70s, but now Halifax Water plans to dig up and replace the pipe it flows through. And there's growing support to uncover the river instead.
It's inspirational because people are here. We're talking of 1 kilometer maximum distance, but to connect that together, to have people there side by side, we could make a line all the way from the harbor to here.
Supporters say daylighting will allow for fish travel, canoeing, kayaking, and will increase foot traffic in the downtown core. Over 500 people have signed a petition in support of daylighting the river, but there are still details to iron out. The first step, a municipal staff report, will be presented to council in February. More young people are being asked to have their DNA tested in an effort to save a man originally from Nova Scotia. Chris LeBrun was diagnosed with leukemia last May. Now, the father of 2 is in need of a stem cell transplant, and his loved ones here have been urging young people to join Canadian Blood Services' One Match program.
I'd like to see more males, specifically ethnically diverse, because that category is very underrepresented on the stem cell registry, and those males 17 to 35 give the patient the best outcome.
The process involves filling out a registration form and doing a simple cheek swab. Once on the registry, donors can be matched with anyone in need, including Chris LeBrun. LeBrun's family says he must find a match within a month in order to survive. Nova Scotia is the first province to offer a new service that will improve quality of life for the speech-impaired and deaf community. Maria Martelli joins us now with the details. Maria?
Thank you, Amanda. Thanks to the developing technology, a new way to reach the emergency services is as quick as a phone call. I spoke with somebody that will benefit from these services and how this will impact his life. Reporting an emergency, you need to call 911. But imagine not being able to voice your emergency because you can't speak or because you're deaf. This is a communication barrier that no longer will be an issue because now you can text your emergency.
Oh, it's great. It's such a relief. It was a stressful process before if I had to try to find someone to help me contact someone in a case of emergency. It's given me an awful lot of independence.
Jim McDermott is a deaf studies faculty at the NSCC. He has been deaf since birth, and he knows how difficult it is to access any service in the deaf community. But until now, reporting an emergency wasn't easy. He says they have to use the teletypewriter, known as TTY, to communicate with server providers, which is a very slow process.
And at the end of the call, you wouldn't be sure if the service you needed would actually even be coming.
With the developing technology, Nova Scotia has now introduced the Text with 911, a service that allows deaf and speech-impaired persons to quick reach their emergency services. McDermott says they now can text directly to 911 and receive the help they need much faster than before.
I think it's about time. I think it's important to have equal access and equal services for the hearing community and the deaf community. The deaf community has experienced a number of barriers in the last little while, so the fact that texting has been established has given us the opportunity to have equal access.
Since the service was launched, those who are deaf and speech-impaired must register their mobile number with their wireless provider. Has already registered for these services, and it's encouraging the deaf and the speech-impaired community to do the same. Back to you.
Thanks, Maria. That's WTV's Maria Martelli for us outside the Dartmouth General Hospital. A local woman is planning to help Haligonians float their way to wellness. Lindsay McPhee is working on an idea called the Flotation Center. The center will offer flotation therapy. Each guest will be able to float within an enclosed tank filled with body temperature water and Epsom salts. The tanks are meant to deprive the senses and rid users from distractions. McPhee says floating has both physical and mental benefits.
It's great for rehabilitation, helps with relaxation, but also in terms of helping out your brains, it's great for stress, depression, and anxiety, and just generally helps you chill out.
Flotation therapy is popular in the West, where McPhee first experienced it. Once completed, the Flotation Center will be the first of its kind in Atlantic Canada. The Flotation Center will be located on King Street in the North End and is slated to open in March. Camp Halifax has had its biggest event to date. The Halifax Central Library was the place to be on Sunday morning. Camp Halifax was kicking off its annual unconference, meaning the speakers are also the attendees. Organizers are pleased. More than 350 people came out to talk business, arts, technology, social media, and culture.
It's awesome. It's just really nice to see a big crowd. All the rooms have just done a tour around and they're all pretty full, so it feels great.
PodCamp sessions range from community building, Dungeons & Dragons style, to how to break an internet publication ban. The PodCamp team plans to hold next year's event in the same location. They're hoping that even more people will sign up. Well, that's the news. Now back to you, Alan and Dave.
Thanks, Amanda. And we've actually got more about PodCamp later in the show, so stay tuned.
Coming up after the break, on the ice, now on WTV.
This is Carl from Garrison. You're watching WTV.
As we all know, winter in the Maritimes is a different kind of cold.
Yeah, that's right. Strong winds and rain make for a bone-chilling season. So when you see someone using a bike to get to work or to school, you might think they're crazy.
But winter cycling isn't just for the hardcore anymore. With a little prep, anyone can do it. Alex Kronstein has the details.
When many people think of cycling, they think of warmer weather, but winter cycling is growing in popularity. Just ask John Latta.
Yeah, my friend gave me this bike and I gave him my old iPhone, and I decided to park my car and try to bike as much as possible, so I started about 30 to 40 minutes ago.
If you're thinking about winter cycling, there are some things you need to know in order to have fun and be safe.
If you're new to winter cycling, I would make sure your bike is in good working order, first and foremost. Slamming on your brakes is something you may need to do, but also something that may be dangerous, when the roads are slick. So, yeah, having your bike checked out by a mechanic is a great idea.
And there's some special equipment you'll need, including winter tires, full coverage fenders, safety lights, warm clothing, gloves, and of course a helmet. Brendan Sutcliffe also reminds us of the importance of sharing the road.
It is the law that we are allowed to be on the road with our bicycles. We're a valid form of transportation. So really just, take your time when weather conditions are bad. Be aware that there are cyclists out there and just be careful.
Adios!
Bottom line, if you choose cycling as your main method of transportation in the winter, the thing we learned here today is safety first. Alex Kronstein, WTV News, Halifax.
The people of North Preston are very excited about the newest addition to their community.
And though it's cold out, the pride they feel for their new outdoor skating rink is keeping them warm.
Valentine King Beza takes us there.
I'm happy to skate right here in my community.
This may not be an NHL-sized rink, but for Tony Coe and his little brother Antonio Bills, it's worth the wait.
I'm excited.
As for his partner, words alone can't say. This is a reaction Neville Provo says inspires him. Being the head of the project, Provo has spent the past several years looking for resources to make it happen.
Us trying to build an ice rink for the kids in the community, North Preston, and to provide some kind of activities for our youth.
An initiative that has been keeping him busy as he goes from his home to the construction site daily. With wooden steps leading to the ring, you can see how much work is underway. But Vivian Kent says she isn't bothered because it's safer than having her grandson and other kids continue to play on the road.
On Clarence Street, they slide down the hill. The Metro Transit bus is coming down, and it's very dangerous.
Around the community, volunteers say they are grateful for the support at hand.
It's really nice to see the community come together around this particular ice rink, and individual community members, like making donations and offering their land, and that's the beauty of community.
Located on Johnson Road, the rink is the handiwork of volunteers who continue to work on site or provide tools and food. Mabel Johnson donated the land for the rink. She says kids need this kind of place.
We don't have a lot of things for our youth in North Preston. We have a rec center, but the kids, at this time of year, the kids need something outside where they can enjoy themselves. And I'm all for it.
We're about, I say 80% done. We need another flood of ice, of water to go on. And hopefully it gets cold, get down some minus temperatures. We still have a lot of brush that we have to clean up, a lot of wood brush and stuff like that.
This is how late the volunteers are working to make sure that this project comes to light. And the community leaders say despite the unpredictable weather, this rink will be up and running by next week for the kids of North Preston to start skating. Valentine Kengbeza, WTV News, North Preston.
Finding a full-time job in Nova Scotia is something that many young people are struggling with. That inspired one young woman to create a new website, which she hopes will bridge the gap between local businesses and aspiring professionals. Ryan Rumboldt is the founder of Wanderlust Media, a locally run design boutique specializing in motion graphics and animation. In the past, he's used sites like Kijiji and Workopolis to post jobs, but wasn't exactly happy with the results.
The problem with those job listing sites, there's no pre-screening, so you get so many people applying for the job, and probably 1% of the people applying for those jobs are qualified.
Leslie Gallagher thinks she has the answer to Rumboldt's problem. Her new website, worklocal.jobs, aims to connect businesses in the Maritimes to aspiring young professionals.
So the benefit for an employer is that they don't have to sort through hundreds of resumes. They don't have to set aside an entire day to bring people in and interview them. They just post their job, they select what it is that they're looking for, and we actually sort for the top 10 candidates.
Last weekend, Gallagher hosted a session at Camp Halifax called How I Used My Facebook Wall to Start a Business. While working at a local business magazine, Gallagher was surprised to discover how many small business owners were having a hard time finding and hiring talent, especially since many of her friends had left the province in search of employment.
And I realized that small businesses don't have the resources that they need to do their hiring a lot of the time. So they don't have a lot of time, they don't have a lot of money, and they're not getting the reach that they need.
Inspired, Gallagher followed a number of small businesses on Facebook and began sharing their posts that listed jobs. Responses on her page started rolling in.
So all of this came to pass around the time that the Ivany report came out. And there was a lot of talk in there about how our retention rate is so bad. So we've got all this amazing talent, all these new graduates, and they're leaving.
Rumboldt says he plans to post a job listing on worklocal.jobs in the near future.
So for a job listing site, I think pre-screening is extremely important. And I think Work Local, they've mastered like pre-screening.
The site launched January 1st. You can find more information at worklocal.jobs. Now our friends in first year radio and television arts are back this semester with their entertainment update. And according to them, the time is right to be in Dartmouth.
Thanks. I'm Richard Harris with this week's entertainment news. Your dream of being told to come on down could finally come true. The Price is Right Live is coming to the Dartmouth Sportsplex on March 27th. Contestants will have the chance to spin the big wheel and even win a new car. Tickets go on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. and are from $50 to $60. This Saturday, singer-songwriter Jen Miller will be performing in the front room of GPS House Concerts. Enjoy local musical talent in an up-and-close, intimate setting. The show starts at 7 p.m. and tickets are $20. Peter Anthony will be headlining this Saturday at the Yuck Yucks Comedy Club at 8 p.m. Anthony was the Canadian Comedy Award winner for Breakout Artist in 2008 and nominee for Best Male Stand-Up in 2013. Tickets are on sale for $16, however student and military discounts are available. Canadian Baroque icon Jean Lamont will be leading Symphony Nova Scotia in a concert to celebrate the music of France. This Sunday at 2 p.m. you can hear a collection of Dardanius, Rebel, and Haydn's at St. Andrew's United Church in Halifax. Tickets are available at symphonynovascotia.ca. Thanks for watching, and back to you.
Looks like a great weekend. Thanks, guys. Now, a local artist is making no bones about getting inspiration from dead animals. Vince Williams is live with us now. Vince, does this artist really use dead animal bones for her art?
Yes, that's correct, Dave. It's a work of art that hangs alone. Paper and easels are not necessary for this young artist's imagination for the living dead.
Matilda, my mom's idea was to start naming them.
For Nikki Barnett, decorating dry bones spun with family heirlooms is the way she creates art to honor dead animals.
It's about taking something that you couldn't find anywhere else, something that used to have a soul, honoring a life that might otherwise be discarded.
The Dartmouth resident works from home in her studio. Her inspiration comes from a trip to Mexico's Day of the Dead festival. The holiday gathers friends and family to remember the dead. Barnett's intention was never to build a business. She says doing the animals justice for the life they lived is the least she can do. Business and life partner Colin Roach says the support she's receiving is opening doors.
I kind of reached out to people that I know, and there's just been a lot of tremendous hope from people donating skulls and wanting to be involved, and that find her work unique and beautiful, and that's what it is.
Barnett says working on the pieces takes her creativity to other places in the universe, and every piece is a legacy of their life.
Honestly, I feel like I'm on another level. I get lost in time, I get lost in space. It's just lovely.
She says connecting with something that's forgotten and creating something that's beautiful is artistic.
If it contains a little piece of someone else's soul, if it's got their touch, if it's their presentation to the world of something that they think is beautiful, that to me is art.
And Dave, Barnett has sold one of her pieces, and if you're interested in purchasing a piece, you can find her Etsy store at etsy.com/shop/HAIA. Dave?
Thanks, Vince. It's a pretty cool story. Now, coming up after the break.
A marvelous business is teaching kids to read in a super cool way.
So check this out. One of our very creative shooters, Ian Barker, used his new Ultra HD GoPro to get this shot in NSCC's own backyard.
That was pretty cool. Now we've got a brand new segment this year on WTV, profiling people and places around town. This is your city.
Take a look.
So excited because Neon Dreams is going to show me how to make a hit song. Let's go.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Corey LaRue. I'm the producer and DJ for Neon Dreams. Come on in, let's check out my studio. Love Experts is playing nationally in radio. A year ago, we met Waka Flocka when he was doing a show here in Halifax, and just this past week, we just signed to his record label, 36 Brick House.
We probably spend I'd say at least anywhere from 6 to 12 hours a day. So in a week, we might take one day off.
And there's just a bunch of elements that go into it over time. So you can hear strings, which would have all been added from internal software, which those I played out myself. Synth sounds. And Frank would have heard it, and he would have been like, he really liked the melody, and he wrote his lyrics to the song. Right off the top, you're going to hear the vocals.
If I could stop time and rearrange the world for you, I'd do it for you. If I could freeze time to adjust the world for you, I'd do it for you.
And everything stacks up and it builds. into this. The Canadian attention has been great. We've been getting messages from, Vancouver, Winnipeg, Calgary, Montreal, Toronto, everybody. Everybody's messaging like, hey, we were just driving in Calgary and we just heard your single. And on top of that, then the news came out with the 50K release and the 36 Brick House. So there's like a lot of attention right now, and there's a lot of momentum flowing. And we got things in the back pocket too that's really going to keep that really flowing. So it's a very exciting time.
That was WTV's Kaya Sparks with Neon Dreams. And you can see them in action on February 13th with Waka Flocka Flame at the Marquee.
Now, for some, learning to read isn't the most fun thing in the world, but one local business owner is looking to liven up the process in an offbeat way.
Jay Roy owns Cape and Cowl Comics in Lower Sackville. Soon, he will be launching a program to teach kids how to read using comic books.
Comics are a great way to help kids learn how to read because they have visuals. And if you have a visual along with the words, it's going to help their comprehension, it's going to boost their confidence.
Brian Welcher is a self-proclaimed geek. He and his family visit Cape and Cowl on a regular basis. Welcher says he thinks the new program will be a success.
This is a really exciting opportunity for a community member and a parent to know that you have more than just a comic book shop, but a place where people are going to be involved in having a better time with words.
Welcher's son Xavier is in the 3rd grade and already has a passion for reading.
Thanks this quiz to find out.
They both share a love for comic books.
It can teach you how to read, and it's also fun at the same time.
Which is good because Xavier has high hopes for the future.
When I get older, I want to be a theoretical physicist.
Jay Roy's whole life is comic books, so it was an easy decision to make the literacy program part of his business. He hopes to have a group of about 8 to 10 kids once or twice a week.
I wanted to be more than a comic book store. I wanted to be a community space. And because I had taught reading before, I knew it was something that I could integrate well.
And for Xavier, he still has a way to go before joining the likes of Albert Einstein. But comics will keep his imagination going for now. Jay Roy hopes to start the literacy program later this year when he gets the staff and funding in place. Sam Tufts, WTV, Lower Sackville.
Now, from superheroes to Super Mario. The Internet Archive recently uploaded over 2,000 retro video games from over a number of sources from the 1980s to mid-1990s. But does this online availability of retro games hurt businesses that are just trying to sell the real thing?
Everybody has memories of beating Bowser when they were a kid and rescuing the princess, and that's the enjoyment of them all.
Since Jared Bennett was 12, he's had to make do without his old Super Nintendo.
The Nintendo, the Zapper, the 2 controllers, all 15 games, I pawned off for Christmas money because Christmas was more important at the time.
Years later, he's reliving those memories on a newer console. He thinks the future of games from the past will be found online.
You can browse through a list of hundreds of games and pick your memory from your childhood kind of thing. Like, oh, I used to play that game, so I'm going to buy it and for $5, and 2 minutes later you're sitting down and reliving memories.
Bill Arsenault has grown his retro game business from weekend gig to full-time job at the Harborview Flea Market. But does online availability hurt his business? Arsenault keeps an optimistic outlook.
I've been doing it for about 20 some odd years, back in Penhorn Flea Market days. This is when I started out, so I built up a price guide system.
Arsenault says he targets a special type of buyer.
Some of them are collectors. Some are just looking for the odd game that they grew up with as they were when they were kids.
But another type of availability can be a challenge.
Super Nintendo, NES games, Nintendo 64 games, a lot of those are so popular that they're getting scarce because of it.
Arsenault says he will always seek out these games because it's not always about the money.
When I see the joy on someone's face when they find that game that they've been looking for a long time, it makes it all worth it.
The delivery system nowadays lets you relive the games and play them as much as you want without having to go and buy all the cartridges and the systems and everything else. So there's not really a lot of point, in my opinion, to do that. But a lot of people do like having the physical copy in their hand and blowing the dust out of the NES cartridge and putting it back in the system 12 or 13 times to make it work. So.
You know, while talking to him, Arsenault says in his line of work, he's learned that you don't actually have to grow up with these games to love them.
That's very cool. Well, that's it for our first show of 2015.
Remember, you can find more stories on our website at waterfronttv.org. Sorry to cut you off.
It's okay. And you can also connect with us on Twitter or Facebook at WTV Media.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
See you.